Good Monday evening, all. Joining me for Bronze Age episode 18, my good buddy Mitchell. How are you and your beer doing today, my friend?
We're doing just fine, all nice and oiled up for the stream tonight.
So didn't get a chance to chat about it yet, but I figured since we're on stream and we're talking Here's the Storm, did you look at the patch notes for tomorrow?
Yes, I did.
Anything?
Well, the PTR patch notes.
PTR patch notes, so they're likely going live, probably with not too much changes. They usually don't change too much. Probably going live with it next week.
Just numbers, and some more often than not, they will add things under the bug fixes section.
Yep. So first of all, new hero Lucio coming out next week. He's a support hero, which is great. I'm excited about that. But honestly, of any of the heroes that have ever come out, I think this is the one I'm least excited about, so I'm not going to talk about it very much.
You should change your tune, man. He sounds super OP.
Then I would love to have other people play him on my team. They did finally address the complaints about Hinterland Blast. Cooldown reduced by 25 seconds for every enemy hero hit. Make it viable?
No. I mean, yes, but no. It needs to do more damage.
Well,
I don't know that going from a 120 second cooldown to a 45 second cooldown is that big of a deal, considering the damage that it does.
I think with setup, it could be worth it. If like you get a ring or a mosh or a VP and you hit 3 heroes, that means you have it every 25 seconds theoretically. So maybe I think it's a good place to start.
45.
Well, 45. I think that's a good place to start though. They took away.
I mean, you're right. It's probably a good place to start. I don't know that that's going to be what it takes to bring it back, but it's a good start.
And you know, I in the past I would take Hinterlands. I haven't done it in a while. And the main reason, and I think what it's really good for, is if the enemy has squishy backliners that you're kind of having a hard time getting to, it's really nice for that. You can safely put damage on them. Greymane, his never used second ultimate, is not in existence anymore.
Mark for the kill, take 3.
Yeah, now
it's
called
Cursed
Bullet, and you hit somebody with it, it takes away 35% of their current health. Not bad as maybe an opener engagement on a tank. I'm never a fan of skill shot ultimates, though, because if you're not good at hitting it, it's just a waste. But a 30-second cooldown.
This thing, I love the redesign on this thing, to be completely honest. I love that it's a functional opposite to Go for the Throat, because Go for the Throat is a finisher, and this is an opener
for sure.
Where so it's a good dichotomy to have between two ultis like that, and then I also love the fact that, I also love it's level 20 as well.
Yeah, it hits all of them.
It feels like a level 20. It feels like that's exactly what it should do. At level 20, it should just be a huge power spike and cause it to be massive.
And you know, the old Mark for the Kill, I kind of like the theory behind it, but it's just it never grabbed on. And Go for the Throat is just so good for what you're going to use Greymane for.
It's so much easier, right, to deal with just that point and click, and there's a lot of damage, and if you get a kill, you get another lot of damage. So it's nice to see them adding in some functionality, and that low cooldown makes it so appealing.
Some kind of numbers tweaks on Rag, which I'm sure are fine. Neither one of Thrall's ultimates are interruptible anymore. Fine.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I never play him, so it doesn't affect me. I don't really have an opinion on it. Valera is getting some numbers moved around. I don't know that she needed to be changed that much. Her win rate initially was uber low. Now it's hovering at about 46%, which is maybe on the low side, but on the low side of healthy.
It's not within their acceptable range.
Yeah, I mean, they try to do this 45 to 55 thing, which makes it on the low side of healthy. So, I mean, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Zul'jin basically had it so his sight wasn't done on active. I love the changes to Varian. You know, all the time, all these shields are like, I want to pick Varian for the Shattering Throw, but the counter was so late, and they've switched it to 13. I love that change.
Yeah, really smart change by them, I think.
And Abathur, whatever. And then the massive Murky rework that everybody was... The one that jumped out to me, Pufferfish, 50% larger by default, and does, was it 50% more damage to structures?
Yes.
But it also now takes damage.
But it can now be targeted by those very same structures. It now has a little bit more health, but can also take damage from abilities.
Right.
It's also got its radius, explosion radius increased at the same time. Well, so Pufferfish is now something to be kind of worried about.
Yep.
If you take the Tufferfish talent at level 4, I believe it is.
It is.
Which gives the Pufferfish itself spell damage against those AoE spells that would go out.
Right.
That it's now vulnerable to. Kind of overall, the rework looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
if you do some math, he can get up by level 20. Murky can get up to about 5k health. And that's just stupid.
Yes, it is.
To be completely honest, it's just stupid.
I mean, you never know how these things. It's hard to look at these things on paper and see how they'll translate, because we've seen all kinds of stuff where we thought it would go one way and it went the other, and vice versa. I will say, though, looking at this, we had a replay analysis of a guy who specifically sent in a thing where he didn't know how to deal with Murky, and one of the things we said is you can't just leave him down there to do it. There's all the more reason now. You cannot leave Murky alone in a lane and let him crush it, because now he'll crush it even harder.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. I just thought it would be fun for us to kind of hit on some of the highlights of this. Nothing else, I don't think, really to go about. Although, I don't know if you remember this, the other day we were playing, I was on Braxis, and I was like, what the hell, my stage dive didn't go off. Apparently that was a bug, and it's now fixed. So, that's cool. Apparently, I would have landed on something, and it just bounces you back to where you started.
That's a bad bug.
It is a bad bug. Because, I'm not going to lie, if I'm ETC stage diving, I'm probably trying to land on something.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't understand that there was a bug on Uberak either. I saw that chitinous plating wasn't working correctly either. So
that would explain that game where we just couldn't kill him, maybe.
Yes, right.
All right, well, now we're off. Our first replay of the day is a Bronze 5 game, and we are international, Mitchell. We have now had audience from Mexico, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and this one comes all the way from Moscow. So I think that's pretty cool. Anton, or Chaotic Drink, he says, I really suck at HOTS, but I do want to get better and I require a bit of coaching. I have a very bronzy replay, one of my latest failures. Please don't judge the whole Russian community by my replay or playing behavior. Here's my HOTS link. And his MMR is 1204, which we're not picking on you, Anton, it's low, but I have two things to make you feel better. One, it's not the lowest we've done on the Bronze Age. The lowest we've done on the Bronze Age was 800. So, you're okay. And I looked up my own MMR milestone chart. I bottomed out at 866 was my lowest MMR, Mitchell. So, I'm currently at 2616. You can go up. You can go higher. You just got to take in all of the really great community content on there, things like this, and then once you kind of graduate past the advice that we're giving on this replay to the more advanced content creators out there, because there's so many good ones, and most importantly, I think the most important thing to do when you want to improve is be honest about your own gameplay. It's not your teammates. The only constant to your games is yourself, so if you're losing more than you think you should, that means you need to look in the mirror. So be self-critical. Find out all of the mistakes that you're doing that you can get better at. And yeah, so that's my little, don't be too hard on yourself. You'll get better. Work at it. It can be done. I've done it. Mitchell's done it. I should have checked yours while I was in there, Mitchell, just for curiosity.
That's what I just did. As soon as you did that, I bottomed out at 1154.
That's not too bad. I mean, it's no 866, but
I waited a very long time. I waited like 5 months to start playing ranked?
I wish I would have done that. I did not do that. Not that I'm hardcore about Heroes, but I take it fairly seriously. I want to do good at it, and when I first started playing, that wasn't the case. I was very casual, so it was I just like jumped in, like whatever.
Heroes,
and
prepare for combat.
I mean, my MMR took a hit as a result of that. So, but it can be done. I've done it. I have videos on my YouTube about my brother's account. If you think you're stuck in the lower leagues, you're not. It can be frustrating sometimes, and it can be grindy, but you can get out. Absolutely, you can get out. All right, and also if I sound a little off, it's because I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound weird, that's why. All right, so we have our boy right here, Chaotic Drink, on Rag. So that's going to be your department there. You're the Rag player amongst the two of us. Let's take a look at these comps. On the blue team, they have a traditional comp with the exception of Gazlowe. They have a primary tank in Artanis, a solo tank, or an off tank is Butcher, functions as your off tank in this comp, a healer and Malf. Jaina and Malf go great together, and then the Gazlowe. On the red team, main tank Stitches, off tank Thrall, and then Rag will kind of be a third off tank if you guys are as 5. That gives one of the issues you're going to have here, I have a feeling, is that's a lot of melee heroes for Roots and Jaina stuff. The main issue I see with the red comp is there's a lot of damage on blue, and solo heal Tyrande, while possible, is pretty rough. That's kind of the first thing that jumps out to me. And Stitches does not offer a lot in the way of peels. Not that I would expect too many peels at bronze anyway. So I like the blue comp a lot better.
It's a lot more traditional, right? And I think one thing that you have to pick out at the beginning of this game is Gazlowe, because you've got all these melee heroes going into Gazlowe and a Jaina.
Yeah.
That just hurts everybody involved. I mean, solo heal Tyrande isn't terrible right now because the only person without self-sustain is Sylvanas, so not terrible. I'm not sure who came first in the draft, Rag or Thrall, but one of you guys should have picked a different hero. I'm not sure which one, because we obviously don't know how this draft went, but I would imagine you picked first because you got Rag, but if you're ever in that situation where there's already a Thrall or something like that on your team, Rag doesn't fit in too well. He offers wave clear and he offers a lot of sustain, but that front line can get so
crowded,
jammed up, and then you guys can't get around each other and do what you need to do, and so on and so forth.
So, we've talked about this before on this stream as the idea of traditional comps, and there's nothing wrong with untraditional comps, but specifically for Hero League, which is now always solo Hero League. Traditional comps are easier to run when you're not on comms. You have limited means of communication, and that's what you want, is ease of execution. So a triple melee is a little bit harder to execute, and if you I'm a little surprised to see this game because I know if I played Hero League, Artanis and Rag are basically never getting through the draft. Maybe one, certainly not both. Anywho, so traditionally at higher level plays, you're going to see a solo laner and then a group rotating between the mid and the bot. I don't think you're going to see that at bronze, but Rag should be a hero that you're comfortable going into a lane by yourself, and you should be able to hold the lane versus most anybody. So
I like that you're going for the Sophia Smash build. You need to have some burst in this game, and that's where you get it from. You get it from that extra damage on the Q, from the extra cooldown on the Q, from the hero damage eventually, but Q is definitely the way to go in this game.
Yeah, and I started to say it earlier, so there's certain heroes that one of their strengths is solo laning, so you need to be aware of which heroes there are, and Rag is one. So if you're not comfortable holding a lane versus most players, you probably should work on improving that hero more before you take it into ranked. One of the disadvantages of Tyrande is her lack of mobility. That means she should not have been the first person out here by any stretch of the imagination, especially with a swap and a butcher. See, Tyrande is gonna. If she stays this far forward, she's gonna get exploded, and she just walked into tower range for no reason. She should die. No, Sylvanas died instead. I think this is a good time to give a real quick talk about team positioning within team fighting. We talk about this a lot too because we see a lot of this. Generally speaking, you want, in this case, it's going to be a little different because you have triple melee. But in a traditional comp, 2 melees, tank and an off tank, 2 range damage dealers and a support. Your tank and your off tank form the front line, though everyone else should, for the most part, in the context of a 5-on-5 engagement, try to engage from behind them. Let them soak the damage. That's their job. So in this case, if Thrall wasn't there, Ragnaros would be the off tank. But because he's there, I think Thrall actually is probably better suited to that role. So that puts you in a tricky spot. Try not to clog the front line as much as you can because you do have some ranged abilities, especially when you go into Molten Core. But Tyrande and Sylvanas' positioning specifically is what's getting them killed, is because they're way, way out in front of their front line. There goes Tyrande, here goes Stitches. What was that?
I wasn't surprised to see that at all.
No.
He just stuck around forever.
So that's not a good way to start.
No. Yeah, I think there's a large talk about the beginning of this game so far about positioning, body language.
Yep. There goes Thrall. Holy moly.
Yeah, the gas load damage here, and it's actually something you have to deal with.
Yeah. So when I started this, I said I wanted to teach basic stuff. Really give out those tools to build up. You know, I used a basketball analogy the last time I did this. Before you learn how to pick and roll or work on your post-up game, you need to learn how to shoot a free throw and make a layup. And the same thing applies to something like this. So I think early on, the things we want Anton to work on are, number one, the number one thing lower players can do to improve their game is to die less. That is the number 1, 2, and 3 thing you can do. And the way you can die less more often than not is making sure you're not taking engagements that are not good for you. So that means fighting when you're outnumbered, fighting when the other team has 10 and you don't, fighting for no good reason, fighting in any situation in which you're at a disadvantage, in this case fighting under Gazlo turrets, or your team is fighting a 4-on-2 in the mid lane. So really evaluate anytime you're in the context of combat with the enemy team, am I at a disadvantage? And if the answer is yes, you probably shouldn't be fighting there in the first place. I have a feeling we're going to be saying that a lot this game.
Yeah, you know, it's not... I see this all the time in even other people that do replays of lower leagues, but it's this, like, burning desire to constantly be fighting.
Like what's happening right here?
Damage. Yeah, and just, that Tyrande didn't move a muscle, taking 2 of those blizzard and then Sylvanas decided it was a good idea to move in on 3 members of the other team. I mean, it's just stupid, for a lack of a better word. There's so much that doesn't need to go on in a game that people add into a game. It's just nonsense at the end of the day.
Look at how long it took Red to get
some. Like all of this, you should understand that you can never want to be one a butcher.
Correct. And now if you just saw Artanis walk through this wave, you should be back here now because of the swap.
It's okay to give this up right now.
Absolutely.
It's completely okay to give this up. You guys have top. You guys aren't in danger of losing top, and that's a 2-on-1.
Yep. This is exactly what we're talking about. The best case scenario here, the absolute best case, is that you take somebody with you. But even if you do, let's say you manage to kill Butcher before Artanis killed you, or vice versa, you're missing all the soak. There's nobody else in the bottom lane to take up that soak, and soak is so important in the early game. This is exactly what we were just talking about, is why would you be fighting in this situation anyway?
And then the only thing that you would really do there in terms of like if you actually want to delay, That's only if your team contests both points and somebody's trying to fight over mid. If you can be on the point and then die long enough for somebody to get the Dragon Knight on your team, it's probably
Right, but those are the exceptions to the rule for sure.
right. Absolutely. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. If that's not the situation, then it's okay to let it go.
Especially when the people you're fighting are Artanis and Butcher. That means with their engagement, there's no safe place for you between the swap and the Butcher's charge. I like that you're going in lane. I think if these minions move forward, you're going to be too far to soak it. Which is a mistake. So I hope that you come back here to get this minion wave. Okay, good. Nice. So all of that's fine. Stay in lane, soak the XP. I mean, your team is already a full level down. And I don't like... Let me rephrase this. When I was lower in Hero League, I hated this map. And the reason is it's kind of hard to get 4 other randos on the same page, especially on this map, where people kind of have different ideas of what they should be doing. But generally speaking, on Dragonshire, the only way you're going to get the Dragon Knight is to have the other team outnumbered. So if it's a 5-on-5, even if you guys have the both points, chances are you're not going to get it, and just kind of be aware of that. That's okay. Minion waves hurt. The reason your health is so low is because you tanked all this minion wave damage. If you have no minions with you, back up and fight them over here.
Or the one note that I had there was don't fight in the minion wave.
Right.
If there's a siege camp or some ranged damage on the other side, you will take that's AOE damage. Catapults, siege units, and what are they called? The wizards that are on siege camps. Or bruiser camps rather, they do AoE damage, so you need to get out of the way. You need to fight away from where the minions are, because
there's no point to taking the freeze damage.
Target minions first, doing AoE damage. You're standing in the middle of the minions, what it's being targeted, taking AoE damage. So that's why you were so low, and that's why Butcher's probably going to kill you now, because you're going in and trying to defend this.
Right. And I mean, I've brought this up before here too. We did a Lords of the Lane tournament where it's a 2-on-2 ARAM tournament, and our whole strategy was clear the way fast enough to where the other team had to take minion damage, and it worked great. They do surprising amounts of damage, so don't stand in the minion wave and take free damage. I really hope you don't take this fight. Butcher is a talent tier up and has basically a full health bar or close to it, and you're not anywhere close. And even if you guys, a Butcher and a Rag in a one-on-one at this point in the game, equally skilled, Butcher should probably win it. So it's just not a fight you want to take. Okay, great. That was perfect, Anton. You're like, I'm out of here. Nope, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, see, now that's something that you see all over the lower leagues too.
Yep.
I did this thing, and it was the right idea, and then something happens, and all of a sudden I'm turning back around and engaging for no reason.
Oh my, I just realized this. 12 deaths in 4 minutes and 38 seconds for the red team.
Yeah, I mean, okay, here's the thing, right? Like we tend to go crazy when we're playing quick match a lot of the time, but like you just decided to turn around there and engage Butcher for whatever reason, which literally you gave them the Dragon Knight for this turn right now. So you have to think about what is and what isn't worth taking at any given point.
Well, and let's just say, for the sake of discussion, he backed up at the gate where he should have been. Butcher held this point. Blue team gets the Dragon Knight. The difference is, now there's somebody down here to soak the lane this whole time. I mean, even if it went wrong, it's still better than the situation you found yourself in. Oh my goodness. This is Molten Core time, right here. Right here. Your job as Rag is to save these forts. Molten Core should have been popped a long time ago.
There is literally no reason not to pop Molten Core there. And you want to do it as soon as you possibly can, because you will take that damage. Obviously, you could possibly get popped out of it. Obviously, you're going to pop out of it eventually, but you protect against a lot of frontline burst, and that AoE stun is huge, man.
Absolutely.
That thing turns games around. See, this is just a completely wasted.
Way late, because all they can do is back up, and your molten cores.
No. It's let me tell you, because it's worse than that. They can actually just burn you down and take you out of it and then kill you at the same time. They know your healer's going away, and there's all 5 of them on the other team. You should have. You had the molten core as soon as the Dragonite was there, because your team was there. You could have had some follow up and some extra damage, and that was just crazy risky.
And this is fighting under the turrets, is what's happening here. See, now this, actually, I'm going to put this back. This is partially on our guy, more on Stitches. But this is a perfect example of how not to position in a team fight. I think at this point, red team should just kind of concede this fort, to be frank. It's pretty much toast anyway. But maybe that's what our Stitches is thinking. Watch what he does when his team is out there fighting. He starts dancing. So here's your front line. There's your tank, your front line. He's dancing around back here. And you have 4 fairly high health blue heroes with Gazlo turrets, with red fighting without their tank in their front line here. I mean, look at how low Thrall and Rag are. This is exactly, I mean, this should be flip-flopped. Stitches should be out here.
That's on Stitches too, because he was.
Oh, it's both. It's on both. And a completely.
That because he could have done it as soon as he got it.
Right, yeah, I don't know. And look, even though they defended it, it still fell. At least no one on red team died, though. Now, if there's the first thing I can tell you, die less. The second thing I can tell you is never fight anything under 10 into 10. Just never do it, unless maybe you caught somebody in a pick on its 5-on-1 or something really silly. But otherwise, if they're 10 and you're not, just don't fight.
Yeah, but this whole moving in for the aggression, I know Gazlo looks so juicy and tasty, but it's the wrong move.
Yep, all of this should never be happening. But
Sylvanas walking into and standing in 2 waves of Blizzard killing.
When you're playing against an Artanis, he always looks like he's gonna die, and he never does. That's a wasted ultimate, a completely wasted ultimate. How's the build look, Mitchell?
The build's okay. I understand you probably went the spell block at 4 for Gina, Butcher probably, but the health regen and resistant, the globe talent one, is usually the one I go for.
Is a health regen?
It does both. It gives you health regen up to 30, so you can have like the health regeneration of a Johanna who completed her regeneration globes quest, and at the same time you can then get an active that gives you a 25% resistant for 3 seconds. So that's usually the one that I go for a lot with burst. It helps a lot with sustain, and the health regeneration is key for those in-between times when you're moving in between lanes, or when you need to tap or something like that. It kind of helps in the meantime.
Especially with a solo
Brian's
heal.
about to go over how you screwed up here, Todd.
Not him specifically. I was actually going to pick on the other team's Jaina. Also, if you have health regen talent and you have a solo heal Tyrande on your team, anything you can do to alleviate Tyrande's solo heal responsibilities is not a bad idea, because she struggles in that solo heal spot. Okay, Jaina players. We're going to watch her come up here. The Ring of Frost is actually a ring. Nothing happens in the middle of it unless you take the level 20 upgrade. Otherwise, nothing happens in the middle of it. So this
good to know. That's something I actually didn't know for a very long time.
This is actually the worst possible usage of ring for 3 reasons. 1, it's totally unnecessary. Aga, who is a Sylvanas, a Jaina player should be able to burst down a stationary Sylvanas, no problem whatsoever. EWQ, she's dead. 2, the ring actually is going to get no value whatsoever, and that is way too long of a cooldown to get no value out of it. The only small saving grace is I will say she did put the ring on the outside and the blizzard on the inside, so has nowhere to go, but the ring was unnecessary. Nope, why are you running? No. Jaina players, you are a burst mage. What Jaina should have been doing is walk in here. EWQ or QEW. Any order almost is fine in this case because you would have just melted Sylvanas. All 3 spells right off the bat and Sylvanas is toast. Look, this is 1 blizzard. One wave of 1 blizzard did that damage to her. Imagine an E and a Q. She's dead before she has a chance to move. I think you should have gone up here and helped Sylv when Jaina came. It didn't matter because their Jaina didn't know what she was doing. But now at this point, though, clear the wave, right? Yeah. So that was a really good example of how not to use Jaina's abilities right there. Because Jaina should have blown up Sylv there 100% of the time. I don't mind you coming up here because I would hope that Tyrande will come with you and then the 2 of you can take him. Now, if Tyrande leaves, you need to leave. The other thing with Butcher, if you ever see the brand on yourself, just back up. Do not fight him.
I mean, okay, here's the thing, right? Well, this might turn out okay.
It's a 3-on-2. It should turn out okay. Oh, maybe not now. That's a nice blizzard, though.
Yeah, this Sylvanas is killing you guys. Sylvanas attracts really bad players.
Yeah, because they want to split push the whole game.
Well, no, they think that the trait is OP and they can do whatever they want. That's just not true.
Now,
I think what was important about that fight up there, in all honesty, is the difference between knowing fights that you can and can't take. Like, 90% of the time, if I ever see a Butcher on the opposite team, and I don't have other teammates with me, I am not going to engage on that Butcher. I'm not even going to get close to that Butcher.
Right.
So I understand what you would wanting to do there by defending the top shrine, but because you moved in on a Butcher like that, you, without backup that was there ready to help you,
right,
you caused that fight to be at a disadvantage. Yeah, the other team had to spend ultis to kill 2 of your members, but they still did it. So at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
You gave them more, and now you're going to give them a drag.
And that was, of course, on Tyrande too. This is a conversation we have all the time. Whose fault is it when you engage without your teammates? Was it your fault for not noticing they were there, or is it their fault for not being there in the first place? The answer is both. So Tyrande should have come up there with you, and Hunter's marked Butcher. The 2 of you guys would have probably handled him no problem. But because she arrived late after you had already taken all that damage, that was a no-go. I was even going to say this even before we got to this point. You cannot stop them from getting the Dragon Knight right now, and there's no reason for you to even try. 3 of your teammates are dead. 4 of theirs are alive. You're at half health. You have a Butcher and an Artanis here. There's not going to end well. Do not go contest it. Even if you were there on time.
Delay also.
Yeah.
First of all, you missed your delay. Second of all, this is also a bad multiple.
Yep.
Right now.
You want to do it back here, not in this forward one. Because if you do it in this forward one, he had since the nerf to it when he first came out, the life on it is actually not very much, and a coordinated team will just burn it down. So you want to try to use it in situations that you get the full duration out of it, and the situations are when the enemy can't attack you. So that means back here behind the wall. I mean, look at how quickly he's burning you down. I mean, basically you accomplish nothing in there, and now you're going to die because you're up front. Oh, no, actually DK saved you. That was nice of him. This is once again a perfect example. Stitches sat here and fought them, just stood there and wailed on them 3 versus 1. And there he goes. And here's our split pushing Sylvanas, dude.
There she goes.
There she goes. I can tell you, I mean, we liked Blue's comp in the beginning from the get-go, but they've also been the better players this game.
I mean, I usually don't even like solo tank Artanis.
No, I don't either.
So I kind of feel like at a certain point you guys have the advantage in draft, only because your late game power spike is so huge that at a certain point there would be nothing that they could do about it.
Right. But you know, at bronze, they're not.
You have to know that you have to be able to get to the late game in the first place, you know, just to make that worth it. So if they can steamroll you early, then the late game doesn't matter because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but in a bronze draft, they're not thinking about late game power spikes or anything like that. I don't like a Stitches as a solo tank either, to be frank.
Oh, I do. I don't think it's bad at all. You can solo tank Stitches all day.
To me, he lacks the peels. It depends on who else is on the team.
Well, that's the thing. You just need a team that
Okay,
knows
yeah, fair enough. Oh, Butcher has his quest done. There's a good ring, and there's the perfect example. You see, the people hitting the outside of the ring were rooted. Now they're all going to die. Okay, so the number one thing I said I'd like to see out of lower tier players is dying less. The number two thing I'd like to see is taking advantage of opportunities. This really should be a keep right here. I mean, at this point, she's attacking a wall. She's not even using her trait to shut down the fort. There we go. At this point, blue team doesn't even care what Sylvanas is doing. It's completely irrelevant. There you go, blue team. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Going with the Mercs and putting pressure. That's a wasted Blizzard. That Blizzard should have been right here on the wave. There goes Thrall.
That should have been a Toronto kill as well. That Butcher missed that opportunity.
Yes, he did. That's a much better Blizzard. That's not a bad Molten Core at all. That can save the keep. That was well done.
It's only bad because Sylvanas is not here.
Right.
There's no other damage to take advantage of said Molten Core.
Yeah, it's not bad in the sense that that could have been what saved the core if blue team was really persistent.
Okay, hey tanks. Let me talk to you for a second really quick. Because we're about to watch this happen, and it's going to be really bad. And you know why? Because tanks aren't invincible. Just because you're playing a frontline warrior doesn't mean you can walk into 3 members of the other team and walk out perfectly safe. You are going to die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But Stitches is not Johanna. Stitches is not Muradin. Stitches is not even ETC. He doesn't have an escape. You have to understand the heroes you're playing, what they can and can't do before you make decisions like that.
Our boy Anton died there because he rotated dangerously through the enemy team. Straight through 3 enemy heroes. There was no way you weren't going to die there. You know, this is a good time while this game is going sideways. It's actually pretty close to over right here. So I think we should talk about the role of tanks. One, if you want to have a really nice read on this, Cavalier Guest, he's a cheerlead caster and he's done some other stuff. He actually, if you go to his Twitch channel, I'm pretty sure it's twitch.tv/cavalierguest. He wrote a thing on the art of tanking. It's really, really good. But let's talk about the jobs of tanks. First of all, your job as a tank is not to do what Stitches did. Your job as a tank, most of the time, is not to do damage. You are not there to do the damage for your team. That's the assassin's job. Your job is to set up your assassins to do their damage safely on the high-value targets of the opposing team. Your job is to take damage from the opposing team so that your backline stays safe. And your job is to be aware of where the enemy team is. We talked about a minute ago Anton dying because he rotated aggressively. Tanks should be rotating aggressively in order to keep tabs on the opposing team. Backline heroes should be rotating safely because they're backline heroes. So if you're playing a tank, know what your job is. Initiate, enable your backline damage dealers to deal damage on the backline. Protect your backline damage dealers by peeling and by absorbing auto attacks. If you're a tank by yourself, more often than not, you're not going to kill anybody, and it's not your job to do so anyway. Let's give our guy Anton some actionable advice.
My first piece of actionable advice is what I like to say on the show a lot, and that's GTFO. And what I mean by that in this case is if you're going to play ranked, and if you're going to try to get better at this game, you need to have an understanding of how every single character in the game works. You don't have to have played them. You don't even have to have memorized everything that they do and cooldowns and all of the information. You don't need to know. What you do need to know is how the tools on the other side of the team can affect it. It's kind of the one thing that I noticed throughout this game that you didn't really understand what you were walking into a lot of the times when things were happening. Now, I'm going to go out there and say that a very large portion of this game was actually not on you specifically. It was on Sylvanas and it was on Stitches.
Yep.
But we still have 5 deaths on our Ragnaros. That's a little high.
And all of them avoidable.
Yes, and that's why we bring them up, right? Because it's not the number's not really always important, and sometimes I even wish there was a time spent dead stat instead of just number of times died. But it is important that every single time you died, they were avoidable times to die, except for maybe one where you got caught in that Jaina Blizzard. But even then, I felt like you started going towards Butcher, you could have gone towards Jaina, and that would have put you out of the ring, whatever. But that's why we talk about them, because for the most part, they were avoidable. And,
you talked about kind of, without going into details, having a general understanding of heroes' abilities in this game. We started the stream for new players, too. And as there get to be more heroes in the game, it's going to be harder for new players to have an understanding of all of those abilities, right? For players who have been around a while, you and I, when heroes come in the game, we only have to gain the understanding of the one hero every time they put out a new one, because we already have that basic understanding of how all heroes that are already in the game function, right? So if a new hero or a new player comes into this game, he's not learning one new hero. He has to learn, what are we at, 60 right now? Something like that? 57? Hero, that's a lot to learn. So before you've gotten to that point, you can still avoid a lot of these deaths by simply counting. There's 2 of them and there's 1 of me, I shouldn't be here. And more often than not, that's a really easy way to avoid unnecessary deaths. So, Anton, that's the number one thing I think you can work on, is simply avoiding unnecessary deaths. Don't fight when you're outnumbered. Don't rotate, I only saw you do this once, but don't rotate through the enemy team by yourself. It's just asking to get yourself destroyed, right? So, I would say focus on those more than anything. Your map awareness, knowing if you're in a fight and you're at a disadvantage. Focus on, I think, just that at this point, and that's going to help you start dragging yourself up. Don't fight for no reason. Don't fight when you're outnumbered. Don't die unnecessarily. More than anything else, that's what I take out of this. Don't die unnecessarily. Really focus on being alive and contributing to the map. So on the bottom, right, there's 2 of them and there's 1 of you. Don't go in there. Think, what can I do instead to be productive in this? Sometimes the answer is nothing, right? If you're the only person on your team alive and the whole other enemy team is alive, sometimes the answer is to just do nothing for 10 seconds and wait for your team. That's okay. That's completely okay. Sometimes it's, well, the enemy team is destroying this fort. I'm here by myself. You're not going to defend it. So maybe I'll go to the bottom lane and get some soak. Or maybe I'll go join my team doing a merc camp or whatever it is. But don't fight hopeless battles simply to die and not accomplish anything. So appreciate the replay sent all the way from Moscow, which I still think is really awesome. So spend a little time, Anton, focusing on dying less, taking better fights, and send in another one. Let's give you some other things to improve on once you've really honed down that picking your spots better. Excuse me. Our next replay, and we're actually doing pretty good on time. I thought we ran a little long there. Sometimes in those kinds of replays, Mitchell, it's hard not to pause it every 10 seconds and point something out.
Yeah, I mean, we do such a beginner show, it's hard not to say something and move on, or we just want to talk about it.
Well, and because it's a beginner show or a lower level player who's trying to improve show, I think it's important that you don't, we talk about positioning and roles. I think it's important that we don't assume that they know what they're talking about, right? If you're a new player, right, they don't know what a tank is and what they're supposed to do necessarily. So us, by just saying do your job, I think it does a disservice if we don't explain what the job is. So our second replay today is the first time we've ever had somebody submit a Team League replay. Team League is definitely a little bit different than Hero League. I assume you guys are on comms, which means that you can pull off different things that are harder to do in Hero League. Generally speaking, in Hero League, I want to see traditional comps, more meta things, not just because like a Gazlowe on the other team, maybe those guys don't know how to play with a Gazlowe. So even if you're really good on him, if your teammate doesn't know how to operate with a Gazlowe, it doesn't do any good. So generally speaking, in Hero League, I want to see traditional comps with meta heroes. And I think those are a little bit easier to pull off in Hero League for those reasons I just mentioned. Team League, though. Let's see if our guy here says anything. Just lost his game. Want to know how I could have played better. Okay, well, that's fair enough. So this is silver and gold, and this is a 3-stack. I hope we can tell who the 3-stack is. We'll find out. So the person who submitted the replay is on Tyrant here, and is his name's Analog in Game. So we'll take a look at his game. Why don't you throw your thoughts out there, Mitchell, on some of the differences, even in a 3-stack, not a full 5-stack, between solo Hero League and playing with your buddies on comms in a ranked environment?
I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me in the differences between the two of them is just coordination. This is a game that is largely based on coordination as opposed to some of the other MOBAs that are out there. Like I know for like League of Legends, for example, like you can have a team fight that's very piece metal, that's very as things come together, and I'm gonna start being one character and attacking one character, and then we're slowly adding these characters, and it doesn't ever get to a point where like somebody's done or somebody needs to get out, or like it continues to increase in intensity just because of the way that everything is spelled out there. But in this game, it's like some things are over in seconds, right? It's like sometimes we'll have a team fight, and before we know it, we've lost the team fight just because like one slip thing happened, or because of really good coordination on the other side, or because A through Z. But what I really like to see in like this comp specifically, right? I believe you guys wore Diablo, Tyrande, and Thrall. Did I see that right?
They were Falstad, Thrall, and Tyrande was the 3-stack.
Falstad, Thrall, and Tyrande. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing that I would like to see is you guys coordinating between your root and your stun. You guys should never be putting those on the same person at the same time. Those should be staggered, and those are the things that you kind of want to work out, right? something like a Starfall and an Earthquake, right? Those should come out at the same exact time. If not, putting your Starfall out to Zone, for example. But that's another topic entirely. I think the biggest difference is just that is making sure that the Falstad knows when and when not to gust, for example. Stuff like that, and it kind of takes everybody to understand that, because we have this problem all the time still of like just running over each other because we have the same idea at the same time.
Right.
Oh, I want an earthquake. Oh, I want a gust because they're coming in on us. Oh, but it's a really good opportunity for us to turn around. So if I earthquake here, we can get slow. I can get some health. That kind of thing. Whereas in a solo queue environment, those things are so few and far in between, up to a certain point. I would say probably up to Diamond.
Right.
Is when things start actually getting coordinated. People start paying attention. People start following up. People know what to do afterwards instead of just do something happened. And so I would look for that specifically. Just some coordination. Some good communication between the two of you guys, and frankly, I think the one thing that you really look for, and did we see a 5-stack or not?
No, both are a 3-2 stack.
Both are 3-2 stacks. Right. So I mean, they have the same amount of coordination on their side as you guys have on your side. And you guys should never feel like you're being out coordinated unless the other team is just like that on point. But you usually don't find that until you rise up pretty far in the ranks.
And you hinted at it, even though you didn't explicitly mention it. Not just coordination in game. This coordination should start in the draft. There really should be no it happens frequently in Hero League drafts, which is why I just said a few minutes ago I prefer traditional meta comps in Hero League because they fit together easier and people are more familiar with those abilities. But you really shouldn't have these situations where you have heroes who don't fit together in Team League, because theoretically you should be coordinating that kind of thing in the draft. And you guys actually have a really nice example of it with the APOC, even though he's in the 2-stack, but APOC, Earthquake, and Starfall. If you go Starfall, sometimes as a solo heal Tron, you may want to go the healing one, and that's fine. But if you opt to do it, those three together can create a really big area of control and damage for you guys to control the team fights, especially when you look at the other team. They are Squish City over there. Kael'thas, Li Ming, and Zul'jin. That's a lot of squish, and that's also a lot of damage for Analog to try to solo heal through. So that's really a lot of pressure on Analog. I think the longer these team fights go, the more they're going to favor the blue team, because she simply can't keep up with the healing.
Blue game has the late game comp, and they don't have too much damage mitigation on the other side, so it's going to be really hard for Red to get this game. This 36-minute game that goes on. Right,
but what they do have, Red Team has, is if Diablo catches anybody who's not Leoric, they have the lockdown to blow that person up. Between the Flip, the Tyrande, Lunar Flare, and the Wolf from Thrall, and the Hunter's Mark, if Diablo can catch anybody who's not Thrall, I want to see them destroyed. That person really needs to die. All right, let's get this show on the road. It is Garden Terror.
Let's try not to pause too much in this 36-minute game.
Oh my goodness, you are correct. We are actually going to try not to pause at all, because that puts us right at when we need to be out of here. So, Tyrande, before she fell out of the meta, used to be one of my favorite heroes. I still love playing her. But in the place we are now, with a lot of high mobility heroes and shields, and I think her place has just kind of fallen out largely, so you don't see her as much, except for kind of occasionally on Battlefield of Eternity you'll see her a little bit. I like that you didn't go out there. That's great. There's the owl. You guys should not be going out here. You have zero visibility on anybody on the enemy team. So you guys should not be past your gate, really, until somebody reveals themselves. Okay, hopefully Kael'thas should die here. Nice heal from Mouth. Oh, that was a real... Sometimes you miss
That's all
skill shots, analog. Yeah, sometimes you miss them, but that was a good try on the W. If you would have hit, you would have finished off KT for sure.
Well, no, it was Tychus's fault because he didn't use his overkill to try with the target, which he should have used his Q as soon as he was backing up.
So ideally, I would like to see the three of you together as much as you can. So maybe with Falstad here, it looks like she's going to go the Owl build, which is fine. I mean, no matter how you build Tehran, she's always going to be a little bit lacking in the solo heal department. The main thing is you take her healing talent at, I think, 13, where she gets higher healing when she's at higher health. That's a must take.
Well, no, correct me if I'm wrong.
This is a bad place for you to be. That's way too far forward.
Would the 100 mark build not have been a better one a little bit?
For the
Just
Garden
because of
Terror,
the
maybe.
type of composition that they're facing, because they have so many squishies, they need to be able to deal with people very quickly and not have patients go on very longer. The longer they do, the worse it is for them.
I can see that argument, but even with the cooldown reduction, I think the chances for them to get 2 of those in one fight are going to be a little bit few and far between.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I hope you guys know this, but Tehran players never heal yourself because you always get the heal when you heal somebody else.
And I'm gonna go out and say that I think you've missed all but one of your lunar flares.
Lunar flare is hard to hit in of itself. You ideally want to wait for somebody to set it up for you.
And don't waste it on.
And don't waste it on creeps.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to save your lunar flare exclusively for a follow up, unless you're a god at hitting them.
Right.
Which you need to understand about yourself before you.
Well, and in this comp, it's not necessary with the Diablo and a Thrall.
That's the thing. That's why you need to save it for that exclusivity of a follow-up, because you have so much other setup for it. There's no need for you to put it out until it's 100% that you're getting.
Now, what I want to see in comms...
A lot of people will just like throw out the whip on Oriel just to move people around, which is a really bad way to play her because you
Falstad should die here, so should Thrall. Okay, I have to pause it here. I have to pause. Okay, what you guys are on comms, I hope. So you should have some form of shot calling. What you guys need to understand is you've already won this night phase. There is no reason to come up here and contest this at all. Furthermore, your life bars are low anyway. Instead, just go to lane. You're going to gain an advantage when you soak. And how you're engaging this is really piece metal. I wanted to see them just go to lane.
I'm sorry, Brian. I think you're wrong there because I'm pretty sure Falstad just got the Terror.
No. Let's go back. If that's correct, you are correct. But I'm pretty sure they already had it. Let's find out.
Because you can't get it. You can't get. I guess you're right.
They stole one.
Yeah, they did.
So you guys have already won the night phase. You have the terror. Right here, the call should be everyone go to lanes. Let's get the soak advantage. Everybody go to lanes. Falstad should fly up top, soak somewhere safely up here, and the rest of you guys just go to wherever you're going to go. But this fly right here is really dangerous. Because
I would say the best thing about being on comms is the fact that you can actually have control over other players.
Right.
Indirectly.
Right.
Nice you can literally talk to Thrall and say, "Hey, you shouldn't be there. You're about to die."
Right. Now that's not that is one of their guys. Yeah. That he shouldn't be there.
Yeah. He is. So I mean, Falstad got out okay. I bet you this Diablo charges in.
You know, and you guys just took a situation where you had an early game win into an early game loss. No tank. I don't know why you guys are going in here. This is 4-on-3.
Ooh, I dropped.
Did you? Well, I'll keep the game going. Let me know if you get in here.
Well, it doesn't seem to be running on your computer anymore.
That's bizarro. Also know the Lunar Flare will not stop the Drain Hope from Leoric. Even if you hit it when it was on, it's not going to stop it.
The only thing that stops it is Aegis.
Right. So this is all good. I like the fact that you guys have 2-lane soak. You really need to get somebody in top lane. The fact that you guys got a front wall off of the first tear is actually really good. But look at all this free soak that's getting missed in the top lane right now. Somebody needs to go up there. Looks like you're coming back. This is a completely unnecessary team fight. If you guys had left 3 people here and soaked out the lanes, that's a much better decision for you. Don't go to Diablo, you're going to get living bombed. The main problem I see so far, are you back in, Mitchell? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. The main thing I've seen so far, to be honest, I think is shot calling and decision making. Once again, look, this is a 2-on-4. You guys should not be here.
Like, why are you even poking?
Right.
Why are you even showing them that you're alive and in a spot where they can position to kill you?
Yep, stand behind the wall and soak the XP. That's it.
It doesn't make any sense. This is something that we run into all the time with the people that we play with.
Some in particular.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I can't believe Diablo got out of that.
Neither can I. Analog, one of the things I would be aware of, Tehran's biggest weakness is her lack of mobility, and you have been in front of your front line a lot, so that's something I really want you to watch. As you, assuming you improve as a player and you start playing against better players, they will punish Tehran for being in front of her team. And actually, when you and I play either in chair league or coordinated or a team league, if there's a Tehran on the other team, she gets a bullseye on her because we know if she's in a bad spot, she's going to die.
Free kill.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll target her from the beginning. Our goal is to get to Tehran. When I play tank a lot when we play as a 5-stack in Team League, and if there's a Tehran on the other team, I'm watching her more than anybody else to see if she's going to overstep her bounds and give me a free kill. Once again, why are you guys taking this? This is a 5-on-3, and the other team is making a huge mistake by not soaking. I mean, you guys have the soak advantage simply because the other team is not soaking, but by taking these fights and dying, you're giving them that XP back. I mean, I like your guys' spot way better right here. You have mid lane pushing. You have an opposition team that's... No, Diablo did not die because he body blocked. He died because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Yes, Falstad, you are correct. And Diablo is in the 2-stack, that's on the 3-stack. But don't get toxic with your teammates. It's not going to... All it's going to do is tilt them.
I mean, yeah, I guarantee you everybody on this team now has a worse image of Falstad in their head than they did 5 seconds ago.
It's just unnecessary. You could have stopped at the, no, you were outnumbered, right?
But Falstad's not listening to this.
And no, but I assume these guys are buddies and they'll share this. And there's just better ways to word it, too. Like, after that death, you could have simply said, hey, let's not fight outnumbered. Let's talk about positioning at bosses. The tankier heroes, which in this case would have been Thrall, should always be positioned on the aggressive side, so that would be somewhere over here. And the squishier heroes, Tehran, should be on the safe side over here. So you always want your tanky heroes. If the enemy team decides to invade, the tanky heroes catch first. The squishy heroes catch last. So position accordingly on merc camps and bosses. Tanks position aggressive, backline positions conservative. You need to not be here, and you need to be back here, Analog, way back here. Behind the wall and poke, that's great. Don't cross it. Okay, so you went Starfall, APOC, Laser Drill, Gust, and I assume Earthquake. That's all perfect. All of those go really, really well together. Starfall, APOC, Earthquake with a laser right next to them, that's great. Great stuff. And thank you, Mitchell, for noticing the length of this game.
So you guys should already be rotating up to guard Terra.
The one thing I will say, though, that fort's toast anyway.
Is there a siege camp there? Is that what they stayed?
Yeah, there was a siege camp there.
All right.
There was.
Even so.
Oh, they still save it.
Okay. You guys are fine. All right. Never mind.
Let's
That's a
talk about.
confirmation bias right there because you guys ended up okay.
But it was a late rotation.
I still think you guys should have left that siege to the tower's own devices and gotten up there a lot faster.
That's not a bad gust at all.
Yes, it is, because there's no team to follow up on it, and you have a person who can escape immediately. So I'm gonna, like, I know. Yeah, sure, it was a great gust, but look who just got killed.
That's not on Falstad though. That's on Tehran.
No, absolutely not. But check this out. What happens when a gust comes out when there's all 4 members of your team there, and there's follow-up APOC, follow-up laser, follow-up stun, follow-up root? That entire engagement goes a lot different.
For sure. I know why he gusted. He gusted into the fort where there's no minions to take the damage. It also got his team time to get down there. What I would have liked is a gust followed by an APOC right away.
Right.
APOC's global.
It doesn't happen only you're there.
Yeah, see, this sniping is not conducive to your team unity here. I mean, that turned out okay. I think you guys traded 2 for 1. So that's not bad. But I have not seen the heroics used in conjunction once. I know it's only level 12, but I want to see it.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think that it's bad at like face value, but when you have the discussion that we always talk about, which is like not doing things just to do them, not doing things just because you have a perfect opportunity to do something. If there's going to be no follow up, if it's not going to like, if you can't get any value out of it, there is a very hard stead, facet to this game, which is value in what you're doing, and that was a very, very low value gust because there was nothing to follow up.
Well, yeah, they got a 2 for 1 team fight out of it, so they did get something. It wasn't nothing.
But again, that's kind of confirmation bias in terms of, it worked out fine. So
that's true.
We're going to say fine. That's
true.
But it's still bad behavior. That shouldn't become habitual.
Now, if you guys were on comms with Diablo, you could have coordinated the gust with the APOC. I started to say this, then we got sidetracked. When you're in the Terror, especially with a hero, first of all, Kael'thas doesn't solo camps. This is really silly. Look at how much damage. He's not going to be able to finish this. Is he?
He might die to it, unless he leaves.
So this is a good indication. Yep, he can't. I really want to see KT die here just for principle.
Oh, come on.
So KT just wasted all of that time and health for nothing. Know your hero's capabilities. Kael'thas is not soloing camps.
It's over for now.
Especially not.
That was a completely wasted gust right there. 0 value, none whatsoever. Oh, so anyway,
that's the thing. That was the same thing, right? Because we already did this as a false stat, because we already flew in and gusted when nobody was following up, and it worked out in our favor. Now we want to do it again, and that's when it becomes dangerous. That's when it becomes a bad thing.
Well, the first time wasn't to a fort with no minions, so that's not the same as blowing him into a wall.
Right, but it's the whole. It's. Whatever. I'll concede my point. Every gust is perfect.
I just think there are bad gusts, or there are, let's say, mediocre gusts and useless gusts. The first one was mediocre. The second one was useless.
But and my point further is, putting out mediocre gusts is not going to make you a better player.
That's true. Oh, so what I started to say before I got sidetracked on KT trying to solo a camp, KT was in the blue team's Terror the first time, and he is again, and he allowed the Terror to be blown up while he was surrounded by the enemy and died. If you're in the Terror, you need to know your escape ability. Oh, Analog, you're in trouble. Oh my goodness. I don't know. This is a terrible place. That's...
See,
okay. There's a little coordination there. At least they tried to coordinate it there. That was a little better.
And it works out mostly in their favor?
Well, no, because Tehran...
Not anymore.
Yeah, Tyrande died, Thrall died. Earthquake wasn't used there. I want to look.
Neither was APOC.
Neither was APOC. Yeah, the APOC usage is killing them. Is really killing them.
Yeah. And that's it goes along with everything else, right? It goes along with what we talked about in terms of information gathering, understanding the players around you on both the other team and your own team as well. Like like again, the reason I'm talking about this is not because of the Gust and stuff. It was because of what the Gust means to him as a player and to the rest of the team as a whole.
Right.
Like that Gust into a fort is in and of itself not a move, but I can already tell that you're the kind of player to do that. That just gets risky gusts whenever he wants risky gusts.
Yeah, and that
Try saying that 5 times, and you're not understanding the value in and of itself of what
the
a gust
chase is real. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And that last one wasn't a problem. Like, you could see what they were trying to do. The problem was an execution, not an idea. And also, this Diablo has not been on the same page. When did he use APOC? Because he should be using it. And he can. I mean, red team. If they
put on the chase.
Oh, but that's silly. Red team.
When they were chasing him out.
Yeah, red team has. Oh, okay, Falstad, you're killing me with these aggressive gusts and these aggressive flies. Look, there goes Falstad. He's gonna die.
Yep.
There goes Tychus. There goes Thrall.
This is why, Brian. This is why I talked about that gust
Yep.
so much.
Yep.
Analog, you're gonna talk to your buddy about this game. You're gonna talk to your buddy about our critiques right now.
Yeah.
A gusts are rare. Gust is defensive more than offensive.
Absolutely.
Know that I've said that.
You beat me to the punch. I was just gonna say that when I first started playing Falstad in ranked, I was kind of afraid to take gusts because gusts is actually one of the few ultimates where you can actually hurt your team if you use it improperly. There's very few when that's the case, and I didn't want to do anything silly with it, but it is such a vastly superior heroic to Hinterland's Blast. You need to be really, really, really careful here, Analog. Actually, you shouldn't even be there at all. So I would take Hinterland, and I was good at Hinterland, so it kind of allowed me to take it and justify it in my own mind. But Hinterland or Mighty Gust is so much better. It's just so much better, and
it allows you to have a lot of control.
Oh
over what's
yeah.
happening. And honestly, too, it's literally the #1 disengage in the entire game because you are on
by far
with this Falstad and able to like shout gust at any given point. Falstad don't gust unless we say so. That the gust in this game is a Phoenix you guys don't have to walk into. Is a Twilight Dream that goes off with nobody's around it. Is a Tazdingo that gets pushed back so far because he's not invulnerable to CC.
Yep.
It's a Entomb that gets completely wasted because the Orc's no longer there. I mean, the gust is such a powerful tool that I hate seeing misused like that, especially to the detriment. It's now been 2 out of 3 times.
Nice owl there,
team.
though. That was a good
pick.
Yeah, great owl. And so when I finally started picking Gust, I just forced myself to only use it defensively. I would just use it as an oh shit button. And that's fine. If you can use great defensive Gusts, you can save your team from a lot of really silly... This is your Wombo combo territory right here, by the way. When this wall goes down, this is your Wombo combo right here. But yeah,
the Orc is down. Their tank is down.
And they're spreading this bomb amongst them. They've already spread it once. I'm surprised that turned out so well, actually. So
surprised that Thrall's not walking in there.
Yeah, me too. So when you're using that Gust, it's way too long of a cooldown to use it as willy-nilly as he's using it in this game. You really need to pick your spots with it, and if you can only use it as a defensive tool, what a waste of APOC. If you can only use it as a defensive tool, there's nothing wrong with that. As you use it more of a defensive tool, you'll actually learn how to use it offensively by just getting a better feel for it. Now, if you would have gotten that keep, I wouldn't have minded that Gust. Trading a Gust for a keep is great. Trading almost anything to get the first keep of the game is a good trade. Almost. And this is all on positioning. Analog was too far forward.
That was 100%. You turned around when you shouldn't have turned around.
Yep.
You zigged when you should have zagged.
As you were.
You had the walk away, and if you had kept up with your pace, Leoric was rooted, therefore you would have gotten out of the Drain Hope. You turned around, I think, to get some spells off, and then which kept you in the Drain Hope, which means that you were low enough so that when the Flame Strike hit you, you died. So next time, just keep walking.
And you're right, Tehran. You should have actually let her
things.
die in the
Look
first
out.
place.
Look out for the Thrall that's coming in like that. I mean, the thing is, I don't. Oh, yeah, you probably should have, but
Yeah, you definitely should have.
yeah, just pay attention to that kind of stuff. Pay attention to people who are trying to peel for you.
Yeah, and not only that is, certain healers, if your teammates are being kind of silly, maybe you can get a little crazy trying to save them, but Tehran isn't one of them. She just has no way of extricating herself from a bad situation. If you're Brightwing and you want to kind of chase somebody going too deep, you can maybe blink heal away. Or Karazim can dash away. Maybe if you're Ariel, you can peel a little for your teammate if they're in a silly position. But Tyrande can really not do any of those things. So in that case, if your
Go ahead.
So in that case, if your teammate's going too deep and you can't heal them, don't chase them in there. Just let them go.
Tell your Thrall to think about the extra Q at 16 instead of the triple final hit on the Wind Fury. It's a little bit more value against squishy teams, and it allows you to secure kills a lot faster when there's not two tanks on the other team.
I understand this game. Your Diablo has not been on the same page with your team at all, but Tyrande has been the point man for her team way too much this game. Way too much. And when I say the point man, I mean the person in the front of the pack of the team. That should be Diablo or maybe Thrall, but it should really be Diablo. And don't take free damage there. You could have just stepped back.
There was another. That was probably a pathing.
That's true. The pathing in this game is god awful.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. It was fine, and now it's.
It's over for now.
I like that you're trying to shot claw.
The infested will
Yeah, but that's the bad
A
call.
terror has moved.
I mean, he's trying to get that keep, so I get that.
A terror has come to life.
And I like this here, that you're in the back as your team goes around. But now they just cut you guys off. You can't rotate with them, and I'm glad both you and Diablo recognize that. But the problem right here... Well, the problem I was going to say here is your team is not together at all. At all. Okay, plants, smack the wave. You clear it in like one hit. Just whack it on your way by.
And it's a AOE
Right.
auto attack. It's not just a point and click. So
I mean, that
you
what
can
happened
figure
there
out
is not
like
bad.
half a wave with one auto.
Well, what's going on back here? One of the things I'd like to try to see you do a little more is you have the cooldown reduction talent on your W. So that means try to Q first, then Ws to get the cooldown reduction on it. Otherwise, you're not going to get any value out of it. That's one of the ways Tyrande can increase her healing, is using the W immediately after she Qs. So you guys got the keep and withdrew as a team with nobody dying. This game, that's a huge victory. And you picked off Li Ming because she was grossly out of position and had no business being there whatsoever. Once again, though, look at the people in front. Where's Diablo and where are you guys? And also, you actually have a second tank here in the Garden Terror, even though his life is low. So I would really like to see you guys a little further back. What is Diablo doing? Way late on the APOC, but at least there's the Earthquake. And I'm going to call that team fight execution clumsy but effective.
Was there a gust at the beginning?
Yes, he gusted them in, and then he starfalled, and then there was a really late APOC and an Earthquake out in front of the starfall. So what I like...
So we've seen, what, 7 gusts so far?
And that was the first one that got them what they wanted. What I will say, though, is I like the call to try to end this here, because that should be the call. But Diablo, what I want to see you guys do, Diablo has to be the person to walk into the core. Nobody else can tank the damage. So nobody else can go in this core range until Diablo gets here. And at this point, it's probably too late with Leoric and Leeming up. And this, you can't go here, Falstad. Look at how much free damage Falstad's taking. There, and that, yep.
He walks into the...
And now it's over. Now you guys need to ping retreat. It's done. You've lost the opportunity. Everyone needs to leave.
I'm assuming you guys lose this game, and I'm going to blame it on Falstad in that very moment, because you guys could have ended it.
Well, and also Diablo was way too far back. He hasn't been on point at all this game. What I liked in that awkward but effective team fight, you guys can't take this. You guys need to leave.
Here's, as a steadfast rule, unless you just won whatever happened, you should never try to get aggressive camps on retreat.
Yep.
It will always bite you in the ass. Unless you just won, right? Unless you guys just won that team fight at keep. But you don't have enough health to get it, fine. Go get the camp on retreat. That's fine. But if you guys are literally retreating, don't get camps. Just leave.
And I like that that's what you guys did. This Tychus is way too far forward here, and Thrall called it. Get back. What I started to say, and we keep getting sidetracked, is I like, for once, that was the first time in this game that you guys actually used. You guys need to retreat here. This is one of those things. You look at the mini map. Where is your teammates? They're way back here. Back up, go top. There's no reason for you guys to be down here around the enemy team.
And where possible, I'm going to say it. Stop using your lunar flares
to clear.
For no reason.
To clear, yeah, don't do it. I like that you guys used all your heroics together and got a team wipe out of it. It's the first time it's happened. I would like to see the synergy a little bit crisper. The timing of it was awkward, but it was a step forward, and that you guys actually all used them in conjunction with each other. This is your lunar flare right here on this flip. Diablo screwed it up, but that was your lunar flare right there. No, absolutely not. No. Oh, with the terror. Oh yeah, that's not a bad call. With the terror, sure. I didn't realize you guys had gotten it. Yeah, this is not a bad call. You need to all be on the same page. If you're not on the same page, this doesn't work.
Okay, here's a split second for us to talk about this map in particular really quickly. Down at the bottom of the screen, you will notice that there are two Garden Terror icons next to the seed count for both teams. There's a Garden Terror icon. Right now, we have eyes that are open on both sides of the team. Right now, we just had an eye close on one side of that team fight, or one side of that meter, rather. That means that that team no longer, or that there don't exist enough seeds on the map for that team to get a terror. What I just saw was Thrall go back, Hearth, and grab the terror immediately as soon as it popped up, and that can be a bad thing.
Right.
The reason that this game goes on another 10 minutes, I would imagine, is just because you guys are sloppy with a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing. All of this running straight towards your core, complete waste of a terror.
Yep.
Let me throw a scenario out your way that starts about a minute ago with you guys clearing terrors. It includes a team fight where you guys win because you guys have all of your ultis up, and it includes you guys getting a double terror, making this one not a waste and possibly ending the game. Pay attention to those kinds of things. You guys are not on the same page for this game for the most part, and you are having a hard time corralling the troops. They're herding the cats, as we like to say. So a lot of the times what I like to suggest to players who are having a hard time coordinating is to calm down, or a lot of the times what I'll say is not calm down, but it's try not to do anything rash is the terminology that I use specifically, because we get jumpy, we get antsy, we want to do things before it's our time. Getting that terror was something that you guys did before your time. You guys could have easily gotten 2 terrors out of that.
I agree.
And possibly the game at this point. So there's another huge scenario where you guys could have won the game and made decisions and literally chose not to win the game.
Now, like, in of itself, on face value, a core call with a keep down at level 23 with the terror is not necessarily a bad thing. But I mean, you guys,
I would agree. Yes.
right? But you guys marched all the way down there with no minions to tank the core. You used all of your heroics and accomplished very little. An often
and that's why we saved it.
Right, an often overlooked aspect of this map and Dragonshire is at this point in the game, the Terror, that's a terrible fly, the Terror and the Garden Terror hit like a freaking tank. They are team fighting monsters, especially the Garden Terror with the polymorph. I think the better call in that case would have been invading whichever Garden Terror they were trying to get, invading on them with your Garden Terror to both get. That was the best CC chain you guys have had all game, and really well done.
Basic.
Yeah. I would have preferred to see if you guys gotten in the Garden Terror, group up as a team, and invade whichever side they're trying to get seeds on. You'll be an advantage in a team fight. You'll get a second Terror, and you might prevent them from getting their Terror.
Okay. I'll run another scenario by you guys real quick because you guys are throwing this game away all over the place. Okay, here's the thing, right? We just got an excellent pick on a Malfurion, this healer that's been giving us trouble all game. And guess what we also saw on the screen, Brian? We saw the seed counter for blue team going up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only one place where blue team could have been getting seeds at that point. And that was at bottom where the only terror was left. Now, instead of taking your pick, rolling with it, trying to get an invade, trying to fight, trying to stagger death timers, you guys just turned around and got a camp.
Well, also, what I want to know,
is just going to be cleared.
Why are you guys running right here?
Right.
You
Exactly.
know they don't have the healer, and that is a Kael'thas by themselves. This Kael'thas needs to die. This is tragic right here.
Yeah, if they're able to kill all of you guys, then you guys should feel ashamed. But okay, they got the KT.
They got the KT. Now there's Tazdingo. Remember, thank you. The one good thing Diablo did this whole game, when Zul'jin pops his Tazdingo, he is unkillable. He is not unstoppable. That means you can CC him. If you stun him, he's not auto-attacking. You're in a very poor place right here. Yeah, good call. You guys just went from having an advantage to having a disadvantage. Tyrande, you have no reason to be out here by yourself right now.
Even this is risky, just to let you know.
Extremely risky. Because if
I'm the first person that
Tyrande dies, the other team can end the game. There's no reason to be out here.
If you guys had taken the team fight and lost, that's the time where you get camps.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not when you guys are at the advantage. That's not when you get camps.
And if you do decide to get camps at the advantage, which most of the time you shouldn't, get their camps, which you did. Not one that mattered, because not one that was going to put pressure on Quinn. On the bottom. Yeah, you wanted to get the bottom camps because that's where they don't have a keep. Okay, so now you guys are up as a 5-stack. Here's what I want to see. All of your ultimates will be up in 10 seconds. I want to see that 5-stack heroic end the game. You guys have only pulled it off once, and you crushed them. And it wasn't even done particularly crisply, too. But the one time this game, you guys used all of your heroics in a team fight in a remotely cohesive manner. Okay. It was a crush.
Okay. There is a massive mistake on your guys' part. Oh my god, you guys just threw away this game yet again. Okay.
I know what you're going to say already. Go on.
I know we don't try to use profanity on the show a lot, but fuck this lane right now. This lane can go to hell because you guys need to win the effing video game. That lane literally would have done absolutely nothing to you guys. You guys could have fought there right in mid. You guys could have gotten an aggressive gust, an APOC, laser start, and everything. You guys could have just unleashed everything, press R all at the same time, everybody, and win the video game. But
not only that,
I'm going to tell you why specifically that made me a little bit angry, because you as Tyrande made the decision as a healer to go clear a lane. Okay,
And
like
not only
30
that,
minutes into the game, people are gonna follow their healer. People are not gonna want to separate from each other. Your body language just gave the game away because you decided that you wanted to go clear a lane instead of winning.
and
You just decided that you wanted to clear a lane.
I'm
And everybody
surprised
listened.
you haven't touched on the one thing that I saw in that. It wasn't just the clearing lane instead of fighting. You guys were all together mid lane, and a couple of them showed at the same time that KT was showing bottom. That means you have the advantage. KT is doing lane maintenance. That's the advantage you guys have without the keep. When he is showing bottom and you stumble across them, you take that fight. It's a 5-on-4. You take that fight. KT was clearly showing bottom. KT has no global mobility whatsoever. You can fight that and end that fight before he arrives.
Like, you guys almost have to. Like, it's literally almost like imperative that you take that fight at that point because the next terror, this terror, I would imagine, wins the video game.
And I do the shot calling largely on our team, Mitchell, and I think you would agree. You hear me say this a lot, right? You hear me say, if they take this fight, we take it. Like, right? I preface the fight before it happens, right? KT showing bottom. If they show, we take the fight. It puts everybody in an aggressive mentality, right? KT showing bottom. We're taking this fight. Find them. Find them. You'll hear me say that all the time when we're on comms. If I want to see the combo, there's 1, 2. Where's Earthquake and APOC? Okay, all right. Once again, a little clumsy, but at least it was done all at the same time. Nice job by Diablo to end the Tazdingo. One of the only things he's done well. A little bit awkward, but you drove them back. It still wasn't perfect. If Falstad can live, I will call that a successful, if awkward, engagement. Falstad needs to live, though.
Didn't take Airy Gust, so he doesn't have the extra movement speed, but he did take Epic Mount.
Which means it should be up any second now. Oh, nice shot! Oh, I'm going to watch that. Hold on.
Owl. I don't know that you were trying to kill her, but that was a fantastic owl.
I want to see that again. All right, where is our girl? Analog, this is your highlight of the game right here. Where are you shooting it from? Right here. Boom. Look at this. Look at this shot.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Really well done. You managed to proactively heal false. Okay. I want to know how you guys lose this game.
Yeah, here's another opportunity. Go.
I think it's borderline, but I think at this point you ignore Terror and go core.
Especially if he's gonna waste his plant on a keep.
Yeah. Well, okay. Oh, okay. So you don't go keep. Just go around. Just go around.
Especially when minions are there, don't be afraid to just walk around things. You guys don't need this keep right here.
No,
You guys need
this is the game right here. And the other thing is, like, okay, you guys decide to have Falstad fight the Terror. That's fine because he can fly in. Tyrande, go core. Go core. When you
They're
guys,
both going for.
oh my goodness. See, but now Falstad and Tazdingo are both up. You guys,
Yeah, so that was a waste of time for both
Yep.
Diablo and Tychus. Tychus has never put your laser will still hit the core outside of the ring that it will hit the laser.
Tychus's laser should have
I
been
know
out
that
here.
for a fact.
Yep. Oh, they're so close. But now they retreated into keep firing range. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what a heartbreaker. Okay, well, the game is about another minute long, so I think we know what happens. How about you go first? Actionable advice for how this Team 3 stack can improve in Team League.
If you're a new player watching this, understand what I'm saying is not just about our Tyrande here, but a problem I see throughout the game at all levels, except for maybe the pros because they're perfect at everything. You watch your positioning. Positioning is like the number one error that people make, that people don't understand that they're making. It's something I do all the time. I don't understand sometimes how I'm getting as killed as I'm getting in the moment, and then you look back on it and you're like, oh, I was way ahead of 5 people who were just, or I'm standing in front of 3 people who are waiting on me. Whatever the case may be. Positioning is a
I'm going to
really
interrupt
hard-
you real quick. I don't know if you
Go
realized it. That was the first time Diablo used APOC at the same time as Earthquake. And you want to know what happened?
Yeah,
He hit all of the targets. Sorry, carry on.
Wow, surprise! 50% slow. That will do that to people? No way. Watch your positioning. You, at the very least, you had the ability to say to Falstad, stop doing that,
Right.
and to say
Right.
to your teammates, or not to say to your teammates, but to coordinate with your teammates to have stacked ultimates, and okay, you have a Zul'jin with 10 deaths and a Thrall with 1 kill. God, this is just a mess of a game. You out healer damage or hero damaged
Everyone on your team by a
every single
large
assassin on your
margin.
team.
By a large margin.
Which also isn't necessarily like a good thing either. Maybe it's because of really good starfalls.
And
but-
ranger snipes from halfway across the map.
I don't think that you necessarily did anything that was ultimately really detrimental, except for the clearing instead of fighting. When you chose to leave, you not only chose to leave, but you also chose to ping and tell Diablo that was the right choice. You probably told your communication mates, "We're not going to fight. We're going to go clear." And you know what? That was a wrong decision. Objectively, it was wrong. There's very few things that I will say in this game is a wrong way. I mean, if you're at lower leagues, you're probably doing a lot of things wrong. But that specifically was wrong. And it's because you guys literally could have won the game. And instead of winning the game, you guys chose to clear a lane. And so it became a hard fight for you guys. It became very uncoordinated for you guys. I think in total. Oh, the one last thing I did have to say about you, Tyrande, stop using your lunar flare just for no reason. It goes along with the discussion we have on the show all the time about doing things just to do them. That wasn't the reason why it was wrong, but it's a very important cooldown for you. You do have the cooldown reduction. You don't want to be throwing those things out willy-nilly, just like Thralls. I tell Thralls all the time, don't ever throw out your root. You have to throw it out there. Only use it when you know you're going to get a kill or when you know it's going to save your life. Because if you don't have it in those times, then that's a really, really bad thing, and you're developing a really bad habit. Yeah, that's about all I have for our Tyrande.
I agree with everything you said, and I'm gonna give 2 quick bullet points. One is specifically for analog on Tyrande. One, your damage is exceptional. That's really awesome. But you can see in the healing numbers why she struggles as a solo healer, right? I mean, 96,000 to Malf to 31,000 on Tyrande. So that's one of those decisions you guys have to address in the draft. In this particular comp, I think it works okay because Tychus has self-sustain and Diablo has self-sustain and Thrall has self-sustain and Diablo can spec into, or a Falstad can spec into self-sustain. So, I mean, if you guys coordinate it right, it's fine, but that's just something to keep in your mind during the draft whenever you're soloing Tyrande. Positioning on her, Mitchell touched on it, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. She has 0 mobility. Like I said during the thing, when I am on a tank and I see the other team has Tyrande, I'm looking to pick on her because I know she has no mobility. So really be aware of her weakness as a hero with a lack of mobility and make sure your positioning is generally conservative and on point. And 3, your Lunar Flare, once again, is a follow-up more than anything else. It's pretty tough to hit by itself, so you really want to follow it up. And Diablo's a really good target to do that on. So now let's talk about the team aspect, because this is a team league game. We don't normally get to go into this part of it. First and foremost, I think the biggest problem you guys had in this game was the 2-stack and the 3-stack were not on the same page, specifically Diablo. Sometimes that happens in these situations where you have a 2-stack and a 3-stack. Just sometimes you're not going to be on the same page with them. Just like in Hero League, sometimes you're not on the same page with your teammates. It happens. So let's talk about the 3 of you. Falstad, Thrall, Tyrande. That's your 3-stack, right? I really want to see... excuse me, like I said, I'm losing my voice. I'm a little sick. I really want to see 2 areas of improvement, assuming you guys play regularly together. The biggest one, more than anything, is you guys picked ults that really synergize well together, and the 2 times you used them, they went really well, but it was never really crisp. So work on those combos in the context of the three of you, not just this one. But I mean other ones. VP sets up so many things. The Mosh Pit, Ring of Frost. There's all kinds of different combos that set each other up. So when the three of you are on comms, try to draft those ultimates that synergize well together and really work on your execution of them. So in game you can pull them off to devastating effect to the other team. And lastly, assuming you guys are a group that plays well together, shot calling is really important. I would try to just see if one of you wants to do it and just follow that guy. In the moment, it's usually bad to debate the call because then it might be a missed opportunity. If you guys spend 15 seconds deciding what to do, chances are a lot of those things aren't available anymore. So sometimes it's better to do the second most efficient or third most efficient thing, but do it right away and quickly and decisively, then debate it for 15 seconds and settle on the optimal thing, and maybe that opportunity just isn't there anymore. So try to make that shot calling more decisive within the three of you. The three of you can definitely work on synergy and cohesion within you. And then lastly, despite all the things that went poorly, the core call at the end, going through the fort or the keep, was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. All you guys needed to do was walk around, and you guys would have had another 10 seconds on core without the enemy team spawning. And 10 seconds of 3 level 25 heroes on core will easily burn through 30%. That was 100% the game, was going through this keep instead of simply going around. So know
it would have made the difference.
100%.
Don't let anybody try to convince you that it wouldn't have made the difference, because that 10 seconds would have absolutely 100% made the difference.
Yeah, I mean, let's, for the sake of this discussion, Mitchell, at level 25, 35 minutes into a game, no minions, no catapults, how long does it take a 5-stack to burn down the core? 15 seconds, maybe?
10 seconds.
Yeah,
10 seconds.
Exactly. So
all 5 are hitting the core.
Right, so 3 people with no opposition for 8 to 10 seconds on core will do 30% easily. So know your win conditions. That was a big shot calling mistake there at the end. And although there were other things through the course of the game that determined where it went, the core throw at the end was 100% caused by going through the keep when it wasn't necessary, and you guys could have just as easily gone around it.
And you and your 3-stack were the ones that were traveling on their way, and like you can literally just type in chat at that moment, stop attacking keep, attack the core, or
right.
Are soaking, attack core, or
Right.
move past keep. Like literally anything to indicate to your team. Of course, it's hit or miss with the replay. Sometimes we don't get communication between teams, so maybe you did and I just didn't see it. But it's on everybody at that point. It's on all 5 of you at that point.
For sure. So appreciate the replay submission. He actually did submit me another one that we'll hit in a couple of weeks. So appreciate the submissions, guys. I will be streaming. It looks like we might have a scrim, Mitchell. So we'll probably be streaming that. If you're interested, stick around. You'll have an access to my shot calling in game if you want to see it. So hang tight, guys, and have a good evening.